there, this is Steve with Smitty's Fly Box. Today we're going to tie the Purple Haze parachute, very popular summertime fly. It's basically a parachute Adams with a purple body, but really effective dry fly to fish in these summer months as the water comes down. That parachute helps us see the fly really well. So I'm going to show you some different techniques and some tricks to doing the parachute. So this is for our monthly fly box that we did for June 2024, and this is a Daiichi hook size 12, and I'm using 8/0 purple thread. So we're just going to start our thread right here and just work our way back, and then we can clip off that excess. And the first thing we're going to do is tie in the parachute post. So let's take our thread to about that 2/3 position right up there, like that, and we're going to use calf body hair. So this can be a little tricky, so hopefully I can help you with some tips here. So first of all, I got to figure out how much hair to get. So I like to just take my scissors and just run those right along and get about the first row and get a scissor full amount, and that is about usually the right amount for a post, like that, like a paintbrush or something. I'm just going to take a second and just run my fingers through those butt sections, get rid of any of those small loose hairs that might have clipped off, and then we're going to put them in our hair stacker tip down and just carefully stack those up on our table there. And I'm going to point this so the large end is to my right here, then I can just slide that off, and it should gather all those calf hairs like that and stack them nice and neat, and that makes a pretty good post right there, just like that. All right, now I need to tie this in. So I want the length of that post to be about the length of the hook shank. So once I have that, I'll just transfer that to that 2/3 spot, and I'm going to just bring my thread around and make 3 or 4 really good turns right there to tie that in right there. Now we need to clip the back end, so I just hold those that butt end just straight up, and then I can come in here and make a straight cut, and that'll make like a taper with all that hair. Now I'm just going to carefully, because that hair will want to spin on you just a little bit, just come in here and let's tie down all those butts and build a nice little taper right down to the hook, just like that. And now we're ready to stand up that post, so we're just going to pull all that hair back. And now let's make a bunch of wraps really tight up underneath, and also build a little thread base and a taper, and make some turns right up underneath there, and that'll get that hair standing upwards. Now it's going to be flared in a lot of different ways like that. No worries there. We're just going to come in and just make a few turns. So come from behind, and we can just gather that hair and just go around that post, and we're going to make 4 or 5 really good turns. Got a couple that I missed right there, but we can snip those off. And let's just make a few turns up that post, build a little thread base at the base of that post, just like that. And then we can come right back down, and we've got our post how we like it, just like that. All right, now let's take our thread back to the base of there. Now we're ready for the tail. So I'm using the CDL feather. This has really long, stiff hackle barbs, so I like to just hold this feather by the tip. One of these feathers is going to tie 10 to 12 flies easy. So we'll hold it by the tip and just take your left hand and just kind of fan out some of those fibers so they're sticking straight out. Then I can just gather a bunch, and you can just peel those right off from the stem, and then you can gather those in your fingers like that, and you've got a nice little tail. All right, I want that tail to be about the length of the hook shank, so once I have that measurement right there, I'll switch that to my left hand, and I'm just gonna trim off some of those little curly butts there, and now I can use that to tie in. So I'm just going to carefully come around with my thread, and that should kind of roll right up on top. And what I'm trying to do is just fill in that space behind the post and continue building that tapered body as I work. So let's just tie down that feather all the way back to just above the barb of the hook. And I always like to make 1 or 2 turns right up underneath that. That gets that tail sticking up just a little bit, like so. All right, now we're ready to dub the body. So I just have some hairline microfine purple dub. And be careful not to get too much. I'm just going to put on a couple inches there, just a nice thin layer of dubbing that I can work with. Common mistake is getting too much dubbing. So I just want to build, really just come right up over that thread and just cover that thread base and just get a little thicker as I go. Like so. And I should end up right there behind the post, right there. Now this is where I'm going to tie in my hackle. So I'm taking 2 pieces of hackle. I've got a whiting grizzly and a whiting brown there. And let's just take the tips here. All right, so now I'm just going to take both of those hackle stems and just so they extend just in front, and make 2 or 3 really good turns right there just to secure that those feathers right there against the hook. And I can come in here and trim off those butts. All right, now I'm going to actually stand those straight up. So again from behind there, let's just come around and make a few good turns and tie down that hackle so it's sticking straight up. And we'll come back here and return our thread like that. So I've got 2 pieces of hackle sticking straight up. Now let's continue dubbing up the towards the eye of the hook. And we're going to fill that in front of the post. So let's come up in here, and we can always just add as we go if we need. I'm going to add a little bit more. This would be the bulkiest section of the fly as far as dubbing. I got one little dead spot. Let's just fix that. Right there. Okay, so there's lots of different ways to tie off this hackle and wrap it. I'm just going to show you a way that I've used for a while that works pretty good. You can just take both of those pieces of hackle and wrap them together. And all I need is about 3 turns. Now I've got to tie that off right there. So what I like to do is just hold my hackle tight like that, and then just take a second and come in here and just strip off both sides of the hackle so there's just some stem there. And usually you can do it pretty quick. You'll have a few little strays, but those will pop out. And then what you can do is make your last turn so it's basically just that stem that you're wrapping at the end there, like that. And then I can tie that off, so you can actually hook it around the eye like that to keep everything really nice and tight. Now bring your thread around and just carefully come underneath all that hackle and make 2 or 3 turns so you're tying down that stem. So I'm just bringing it over the stem under all that hackle. Let's do 3 times. And then we can cleanly tie that off. Now we can come in here and trim that stem like that. Now if you want, if you got a little bit of a dead space still, we can add a little more dubbing just to kind of cover that all up. Underneath there, just Just carefully pull that hackle back and just, I can make a couple more turns right there, like so. And now we can wood finish.